CJ Stroud is having one of the best rookie seasons in recent memory. On Sunday, Stroud led yet another game-winning drive on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. He currently has the Houston Texans sitting at 5-4, which is just one game back from the Jacksonville Jaguars for first place in the AFC South. Stroud's rookie season has been so surprising that now the national media is talking about CJ Stroud as a legitimate MVP candidate this year. Back in college, CJ Stroud was a standout quarterback at Ohio State. In his first year as the starter for the Buckeyes, he finished third in the Heisman voting and was named the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. In his sophomore season, for the second consecutive year, he was a finalist for the Heisman Trophy and won the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year award yet again. But Stroud showed everyone that he clearly has the ability to rise to the level of a tough opponent. He showed that he has the desired it factor. So I'm sure, as you could imagine, CJ Stroud was a highly touted prospect coming out of college. And after his pro day, CJ Stroud was the favorite to be the #1 overall pick. All of the quarterbacks in the 2023 draft class had their flaws. Bryce Young played for Alabama and appeared to be one of the most pro-ready prospects. But he's small and he doesn't have special arm talent. Will Levis has an extremely strong arm and a solid frame that's built for the NFL, but he struggled in every game that mattered while he was at Kentucky. Anthony Richardson is the ultimate project quarterback, an unbelievably gifted athlete who has an extremely large frame, along with an arm strong enough to throw 100 yards, and speed to outrun any defender in the NFL. But he only started 13 games in college, and in those 13 games, he struggled frequently. But Stroud, he looked like a rose with no thorn. He has the size of an NFL quarterback, he has a strong arm, and he had the production in college to back up his talent. That was until about a week away from the NFL draft when it leaked that CJ Stroud scored an 18% on the S2 cognition test, which was by far the worst out of any quarterback in the draft. When this leaked, it was a huge deal. The S2 cognition test is supposed to be able to tell the cognitive abilities of an athlete down to a millisecond level. After this, CJ Stroud's draft stock plummeted just days before the draft. Some draft analysts were even saying that there was a chance that Stroud would fall out of the top 10. Obviously, that is a huge drop for a guy that was favored to be the #1 pick just about a month before the draft. But on draft night, the quarterback-needy Houston Texans took CJ Stroud with the 2nd overall pick, laying to rest the rumors of a large slide for Stroud. Except Houston was not a very promising landing spot for a young quarterback. The Texans went 3-13-1 in 2022 and were a complete mess. Their offense was 31st in total yards, their 17 points per game was tied for 31st in the league, and they also turned the ball over 28 times, which was the 2nd most in the NFL. Defensively, they were just as bad, allowing the 3rd most total yards and the 6th most points per game. Not only were the Texans lackluster on the stat sheet, their roster on paper was also pretty lackluster. There were not a lot of names that would jump out if you read them. Their wide receivers are Nico Collins, rookie Tank Dell, and Noah Brown, and their backfield is being led by Devin Singletary and Dameon Pierce. This was going to be quite a change of scenery for Stroud, who was used to throwing to guys like Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jackson Smith-Njigba at Ohio State. And on top of that, the Texans hired a first-time head coach in DeMeco Ryans, who is now the Texans' 3rd different head coach in just 3 seasons. This was an organization that was heading straight towards the dumps. And now CJ Stroud is the man who has to lead them back on the right track. Stroud did not have a wildly hot start to his NFL career, as in his first preseason game, Stroud threw a terrible interception on only his 2nd pass attempt. Stroud would throw for 89 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception in the preseason. But the best part about the preseason is that it doesn't matter. Even Jamar Chase looked like he couldn't catch a cold in the preseason of his spectacular rookie year. But this didn't stop people from freaking out about Stroud's struggles. But come week 1, it was was time for Stroud to wipe the slate clean and prove why he was a top 3 pick in the draft. And not only has Stroud shown that he's worthy of a top 3 pick, he's making the Carolina Panthers completely regret passing on him with the first overall pick. CJ Stroud began his NFL career with 192 consecutive passing attempts without an interception, which is the longest streak to begin a career in NFL history. His first interception didn't come until week 6 against the Saints. And here we are, over halfway through the season, and CJ Stroud's 291.8 yards per game lead the NFL, which means that he's on pace to be the first rookie to lead the NFL in passing yards since Davey O'Brien led the league with just over 1,300 yards in 1939. On top of that, CJ Stroud also has thrown 15 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions, and his 101 passer rating is the 3rd highest by a rookie in NFL history. Stroud has also led the Texans to some huge victories, the first of which came in Jacksonville against the Jaguars, where Stroud completed over 66% of his passes for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns, with a passer rating of 118.7, and the Texans won 37-17. This obviously was a huge win for the Texans against the best team in their division, but it was only in the past 2 weeks where the MVP buzz around Stroud really started to be in. In week 9 against the Buccaneers, CJ Stroud had arguably the best game by a rookie in NFL history. Stroud threw for 470 yards, which is the most ever by a rookie in a single game, and also had 5 touchdowns to go along with it. The Texans were down by 4 with 31 seconds left when they got the ball back. But the kicker was, they had no timeouts. But CJ Stroud went out there and led an impeccable drive and threw the game-winning touchdown to Tank Dell. It's not often that you see a rookie quarterback with the poise to be able to pull that off. Then just last week, CJ Stroud found himself in a duel against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Despite Stroud having his fair share of struggles in the game, he still led the Texans down the field and set up a game-winning field goal as time expired. Stroud's numbers for the game weren't his best, but in the end, he led his team to a huge victory on the road versus an AFC opponent. The Texans are now 5-4, and they're just 1 game behind the Jacksonville Jaguars for first place in the AFC South. And obviously, there's still a lot of football to be played this season, and I would still consider CJ Stroud to be a long shot to win MVP. It would be unprecedented for a rookie to win MVP, especially since the only rookie to ever win MVP is Jim Brown. But I believe if CJ Stroud keeps up his current pace and ends the season as the leader in passing yards, and if he leads the Texans to a double-digit win season and wins the AFC South, I'd vote for him to win MVP. Plus, the term most valuable player does play a factor here. Last year, the Texans won 3 games in total, and now with CJ Stroud, they look like a potential division winner. Going into the year, the Texans were projected to finish last in their division, and they had the 2nd longest odds to win the Super Bowl. So it's safe to say that nobody expected CJ Stroud to be this good, and he's already proven that the preseason is worthless and the S2 cognition test should never be used in the pre-draft process ever again. And whether he winds up as the MVP or not, CJ Stroud is having arguably the best rookie season by a quarterback ever. Let me know in the comments if you think CJ Stroud has a legitimate shot at winning MVP this year. And as usual, guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button, as it will go a long way in helping me grow this channel for you. This is a channel where I talk all things NFL, and if you enjoy football, you will enjoy this channel. And once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.